In the collection API, there are several classes available, several classes. I'll take one class to show all the features of collection API. Let us take one class, experiment all the features of collection API, then we will see remaining things. Start one project, Java based project. I'm choosing app 1. In the collection API, there are several classes available. Let us take one class for example purpose. I'm taking a class with a name as ArrayList. Inside this class, lot of methods are there. We will test it out one by one. Everybody create a first class. I'm choosing a class name as M1. You can choose any package name. By default, application name itself as a package name. So please observe everybody. Main method main method. Define an object to array list. First import control space bar. Import ArrayList class. ArrayList object. Now try adding elements. I'm adding one integer number. I'm adding one double number. I'm also adding one boolean literal. You can see different values I'm able to add. I'm also adding string object. 4 elements I have added. Try printing list. What is the observation from this program? We did not mention size, but we stored 4 elements. We did not mention size anywhere. We stored 4 elements. Size is not required to specify. Any number of elements we can keep storing. Any number of elements we can keep storing. Second observation. We stored one integer number, double, boolean, string. Any type of element is allowed by default. Any type of element is allowed by default. Second point. What about next observation? We simply printed a list. We are not getting class name @hexadecimal representation. We are getting content of the list. we are getting content of the list. In case of array, if you print reference of the array, you won't get the content of the array. You will be getting a some memory representation. But here, content. So please observe 3 points in this program. First point, size. No need of mentioning size. Any number of elements can be added. Second one, by default, allowing multiple type of elements. Allowing multiple type of elements. Third one, lot of built-ins are there. We printed a list without a for loop. We are not reading element by element from the list. We simply printed a list. Inside a list, whatever elements are there, those elements printed completely, one by one. Easy way of development, very easy way of development. Understood or not? Let us run. Come to the next one. I am developing M2 with the main method. By default, array list, it is a generic type. I just removed this angle bracket. You'll come to know usage of angle bracket later. While importing, you are getting angle bracket automatically. It's a generic symbol. Remove that. List is equal to new array list. You can go for list dot add off. I'm adding one integer number. Let me add one more integer number. All are integer numbers only. All are integer numbers. You can go for any number directly with a get method. List dot get of 1. So if you wanted, you can print all 3 elements or only one element. By default, array list is taking index numbers internally. 123 storing at 0th index, but we are not specifying 0th index. We are calling add method by supplying 23. We did not specify one index. 23 will be automatically storing at one index. List dot add of 13. We did not specify 13 anywhere. Index number 2 anywhere. But it is storing at index number 2. If you print list, you will be getting 1, 2, 3, comma, 2, 3, comma, 1, 3. If you go for get of 1, you will be getting a 2, 3, 23. So what is the observation from here? So automatically you are getting index numbers. We are not providing index numbers. Automatically index numbers providing by the framework. Framework only providing automatically index numbers. Let's copy main method. Go for M3. This point is very important. You are getting a compilation error. In the previous program, it was very success. In this program, you are getting a compilation error. Find out the reason why. You are getting compilation error. The reason is collection API, even though receiving primitives, it converts into objects. It stores in the form of an object type. Get method returning object type. You are assigning to integer. Object cannot be assigned to integer. So that is why you are getting compile time error. I repeat once again, everybody. Collection API, it is taking every member in the form of an object. It is taking every member in the form of an object. Every member in the form of an object. While supplying 1, 2, 3, it is converting into integer object, upcasting to object type, then storing that inside an array list. While storing 2, 3, it is converting into integer object, that is through boxing. Upcasting into object type, then storing. Similarly, 1, 3 also. Boxing into integer object, upcasting into object type. So collection API is not for the primitives. Collection API, it is not for the primitives. Even though you are supplying a primitive, internally it converts into objects. That object upcasting into object type, then storing. Collection API is not for the primitives. Even though you are storing a primitive, it will be boxing into integer object. It will be boxing into integer object, upcasting into object type. Collection API is not for the primitive. So please comment last 2 lines. Control Shift C. Copy main method. Define M4. This time, let me use object type, integer. Even though I am making I as an integer, still we are getting a compilation error. Even though left hand side is a reference, integer I, we are getting compilation error. Why? Because it's not stored as an integer object, upcasted to object type. So get method returning integer object in the form of a object type. It is returning in the form of a object type. That object type should be downcasted. There is no downcasting. That is why you are getting a compilation error. Int value converted into integer object, upcasted into object type, then stored in the array list object. While calling get method, we are getting integer object only, but it is in the form of an object type. That is why we are getting compilation error. Comment this. Copy the main method, define M5, so just to provide downcasting, this is compiling successfully. Please check it out again. Guys, what is the observation? Please observe everybody. Collection API not allowing primitives. Whenever you supply a primitive, that primitive is converting into integer object or double object, whichever primitive you are supplying. That object is upcasting to object data type. That object is upcasting to object data type. While reading, you are getting an object data type, even though integer object is returning, even though integer object is returning, it is returning in the form of an object type. Do the downcasting. Downcasting. This is absolutely proper. Compilation, running, both are very success. In case of downcasting, there may be a chance of wrongly downcasting, then getting a class cast exception. I repeat once again. Let us consider we are storing 1, 2, 3, which is a int primitive. That int primitive boxing into integer object, that integer object upcasting to object type. 1, 2, 3 converting into integer object, upcasting to object type. While calling get method, you are getting integer object only, but it is in the form of an object type. You need to downcast. Syntactically correct. So what is the observation? In the collection API, primitives are not storing. Even though you are attempting to store the primitives, that primitive is boxing into integer object. That integer object is upcasting to object type. Let me show one more example in the same grounds, everybody. Let me go for list dot add method with a double value 3.4. If you go for everybody, double d1 is equal to list dot get of 0th index. 3.4 stored in the 0th index. You are getting compilation error. Please observe. Getting a compilation error. You know why you are getting compile time error? Get method return type is not a primitive. Let us comment this. Let me go for wrapper type double. Let me choose D2. Again we are getting a compilation error. Even though double object is returning, but the data type is an object type, you need to downcast. Please observe this compilation error. Comment this also. Double D3 is equal to This is syntactically correct. Downcasting is required. Please go through. This is compiling and running successfully. All these points are very important. I repeat once again with another example. Everybody, guys, let's go to M7. Crystal clear collection API, not for the primitives. Collection API is only for the objects. If you go for storing a primitive automatically converting into object. Let us import array list, remove these angle brackets. You'll be knowing more about this later. Everybody, you're not specifying size. You're not specifying data type. You can store any number of elements, even any type of elements. Let me add one string element, Boolean element. I added a true. It is a primitive true. Primitive true. Primitive true. Let me read the same. Boolean F1. Let's go for list dot get of 0. You are getting a compile time error. Please observe everybody. We know why we are getting a compile time error. Go to the wrapper type. Still we are getting a compile time error because of no downcasting. You are getting compilation error. Please observe. So why you are getting compilation error? There is no downcasting. So go for F3 with a downcasting. This will be very proper. We are doing the downcasting. You can also print F3. This is how internally framework is handling. And while calling get method, you need to receive into object through proper casting. Guys, copy main method. While performing downcasting like this, there is a small limitation. M8 so please observe this type of wrong conversion also allowing by the compiler. We supposed to convert into Boolean but converted into string. Compiler doesn't know what is the actual object getting while calling get of 0. It is just checking whether conversion left hand side, right hand side both are proper or not. Yes, left hand side is a string, right hand side also string. Compilation success. While running, you will be getting a runtime exception, class cast exception. Why? Because Boolean object converting into string. Please observe properly. Everybody. In the 0th index, Boolean is stored. While calling get of 0, Boolean object is getting in the form of a object type. You supposed to downcast into Boolean, you are downcasting into string. You will be getting a class cast exception. Compiler not knowing what is the actual data type of the object. Compiler checking, left hand side is a string F3, right hand side conversion also string type, so homogeneous conversion, compiling successfully. While running, actual object is a Boolean object, you are converting into a string, you will be getting a class cast exception. Please observe everybody. So we got to know how to add one element. While adding an element, if you add a primitive that is boxing into wrapper object, upcasting into object type. Object type. Then, while reading, if you go for get method, it is not returning primitive, it is returning actual object, but with the type of object type, you need to downcast. You need to downcast. So please observe, if you are downcasting wrongly, there is a class cast exception. Come to the next one. Let's go for array list. List dot add of some elements. Let me go for all int elements only. If you don't want to downcast, you can directly call get method while printing. Let me print all the elements through a for loop. You know already index numbers is starting from 0. Inside array list, there is a size method to give a total number of elements. Size method to give a total number of elements. You can go for SOP of list dot get a file. Here you don't require to downcast. Why? Because you are directly printing. You are not assigning to any variable. So please observe. Size method gives total number of elements from the collection objects. Array list is our collection object. Use size method, total number of elements. Length property, it is in the arrays to identify total number of elements. Length method, it is in the string objects to find out the total number of alphabets, total number of characters. Size is a method in the collection object. So interviewers are asking where you can find a length property, where you can find a length method, where you can find a size method, why these are. Length property inside arrays to identify size of the array. Length method in the string class to find out total number of characters in the string object. Size is a method in the collection object to identify total number of elements. Length property in the array, length method in the string, and finally in the collection object, size method. Size method. Go for I value 0 starting, incrementing, keep on till to size minus 1. One by one, we are reading and printing. Go to the next example. So here we can also use enhanced for loop, that is for each loop. Let us use for each loop in order to read the elements. Please check it out. For each loop, it is not only for arrays, you can also use for the collection objects. Not only for arrays, we can also use collection objects. I said already, every element is stored in the array list in the form of an object type. 10 is boxed into integer, stored in the form of an object type. 20 stored, 20 boxed into integer object, stored in the object type. 30 also, 40 also. Converting into integer object, upcasting into object type. Now, same we are reading in the form of an object. We are not assigning to any variable, that is why downcasting not required. Downcasting not required, directly printing, absolutely possible. So we have seen adding one element. How we can add single element? Single elements. Also we have seen how to read. Also we have seen how to read. Adding we have seen. Reading also we have seen. Please observe. Copy the same. We can replace any element through a set method. I wanted to replace so 30, which is stored at index number 2. Whichever storing at index number 2, that should be changed to different value. Let me go for hello. Now check it out, first output and second output. You can see the difference between first output and second output. 30 replaced with hello. See the difference between first output and second output. Set method is used for replacing purpose. In order to replace a value in a particular index number, value in a particular index number. Come to the next one. I'll go with array list. I'm going for strings. You can also go for integers. Print the list. Let's go for list dot remove of. I'm specifying index number 2. The element which is stored at index number 2 should be removed. Any specified indexed element can be removed. Specified indexed number element. Remove of 2. Let's run and check it out. Hello has been removed. Hello is completely removed. Let's copy main method. F13. So instead of removing, you can go for insert. Insert method. At index number 2, I am providing the 700 as an inserted value. Please check it out. 700 inserting at index number 2. Earlier hello was there. Now hello moved to the next location. Inserting. So we have seen how to add, how to read, how to remove, how to insert in the middle also. These are the very basic operations. Directly suitable methods are there. You can use those methods in order to perform any operation in the collection API. So here we have seen like size is not fixed. We have seen like data type is not fixed. We have also seen like primitives are not allowing. While attempting to add primitive, automatically converting into object, upcasting to object type, storing inside a array list. Collection API not for the primitives. Then we have seen get method, size method. Both the for loops usage, regular for loop for each loop. Finally, how we can remove and insert. These are the very basic operations in any project. If you practice very well, definitely these are not difficult